Who was behind the strike on a school in Iran that killed scores of children? According to the Reuters news agency, an ongoing investigation by the US military shows it was likely to blame. Media organizations have been conducting their own probes, examining satellite images, social media posts and videos, trying to look for clues. Now, the New York Times points to a video released on Sunday by Iran's semi-official Mehr news agency. Let's take a look at it. The New York Times says that this is a US Tomahawk missile. It hits a naval base belonging to the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. But as the camera pans, right here is the school that is believed to have been damaged at the same time by another missile in the same attack. The elementary school in Minab was hit on February 28, right at the start of the war. Human Rights Watch carried out an initial analysis along with several media outlets, including the New York Times, CNN, and the BBC. And they say the evidence points to the US military being responsible for the strike. Now, up to now, the Trump administration has not admitted that the US military was responsible for the strike. Instead, they say the army is not targeting civilians. Have a listen.
Hey, did the United States airstrike a girls' elementary school and kill 175 people?
Not that we know of, Sean, and the Department of War is investigating this matter, and I would just tell you very strongly, the United States of America does not target civilians, unlike the rogue Iranian regime that targets civilians, that kills children, that has killed thousands of their own people in the past several weeks, and uses propaganda quite effectively, and unfortunately, many people in this room have fallen for that propaganda, so I would caution you from pointing the finger at the United States of America when it comes to targeting civilians, because that's not something that these armed forces do.
In my opinion, based on what I've seen, that was done by Iran.
Is that true, Mr. Hegseth? It was Iran who did that?
We're certainly investigating.
Still investigating.
But the only side that targets civilians is Iran. We think it was done by Iran.
Let's bring in Malachy Browne from the visual investigations team at the New York Times, who looked into the incident. Good to have you with us, Malachy. Now, in a context where there are limitations for media coverage and difficulties independently verifying material that comes out of Iran, how did you examine the reports of the strike on the school and confirm that the US carried it out?
Hi, Tommy. Well, you're right. We don't have access to Iran or even the south of the country, Minab. So we're turning to witnesses who are there on the ground, who are documenting what they're seeing and sharing that online. And of course, the challenge for us as reporters is to authenticate, verify that material, and then piece it together to try to answer, what happened, how could it have happened, but also before that, the fundamentals of where and when it happened. And, although I'm here in Ireland reporting on it, I have access to a suite of tools, some satellite imagery that allows me to compare the pictures that are being filmed by witnesses on the ground with those satellite images and locate it and confirm that it was taken, where it was taken and when it was taken, when it first emerged online. And so that was the starting point for us. And then beyond that, it's collecting all of the first reports about what happened in Minab in the south of Iran, and then, assessing how quickly the area was struck and how many times, if we can. And then from there, our investigation started.
Right. And what were the most crucial pieces of visual or digital evidence that helped you determine the likely source of the strike?
It was the video footage of the school itself, which showed most of the school had been destroyed. So it was hit directly. This wasn't secondary damage. And then there was another video taken. The school was located beside a naval base, and there was another video taken showing strikes inside the naval base. This is just 2 hours into the war in Iran, as Israel and the US are taking out military sites and targets across the country, as well as government leaders. So it seemed early on that the school may have been hit as part of targeting of that naval base. We ordered satellite imagery, high-resolution imagery that showed us that the buildings inside the base had been hit with precision airstrikes. Now, Iran doesn't have that capability, just the US and Israel does. And so we also then got comment from Israeli officials saying that they weren't operating in the area at that time. And Wednesday last week, General Dan Kane, who's the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the US, presented a map where he was saying that the US was operating in the south, where Minab is located, and the IDF, the Israeli Defense Forces, in the north. And so the evidence at that point suggested US responsibility, but then the video of the Tomahawk missile striking the area emerged, and we were able to also verify that.
Right. A key detail from your reporting is that the school's current location was previously part of the Iranian military facility targeted by the US. Can you tell us more about that?
That's right. So the compound is a sort of a rectangular compound, and on the northern corner of that is the school building currently. Go back to 2013, it was contained within the naval base. We're not sure what purpose it served, but sometime between 2013 and 2016, it was cordoned off. The watchtowers around the building were taken away. Public entrances were opened into it. The ground was cleared. Playing areas were inserted. Colourful walls of the school were inserted as well. And so it clearly became a school and used for civilian purposes. So, yeah, it may be that, and our sources are telling us, in fact, that the intelligence used to target the base was old intelligence, and that the school, therefore, may have been identified as a military objective.
Right. We see something from the way the US officials are talking about this. They particularly use the word targeting, not hitting. So they say the US doesn't target civilians. But as you say, based on the evidence that they might have used outdated data, so they might have been targeting other people, but ended up hitting a school. Is that something that stood out to you?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah, in these precision strikes are carried out by guided missiles, like the Tomahawk, and only the US in this war has access to Tomahawks, and they're programmed with the coordinates of the specific target, and in this case, it's buildings. And so I think sources believe that, a school was not an intended target, but the building that the school was in was targeted because the missile was programmed with its coordinates in order for it to strike that school. As I said, the damage is not consistent with secondary damage. The nearest building is 80 meters away. These weapons, most of them fall. There's two grades within 3 meters of accuracy or 30 meters of accuracy. But what we can see in the other buildings is pinpoint strikes. And so these are very accurate strikes, which is consistent with the US capabilities.
Okay. Malachy Browne from the Visual Investigations team at the New York Times. Thank you for speaking to us.
Thanks, Tommy.
And you can let us know in the comments what you think about this story. And please like the video if you found it insightful. And don't forget to subscribe to this DW News channel if you haven't already.